And welcome in. It is the Garnet Trust Hour here on The Game. Full house. Tyler, West, and Chris along with you on this Tuesday morning, welcoming in today's special guest from Gamecocks football, quarterback LaNorris. LaNorris, first of all, thanks so much for taking a little bit of your time this morning. And as we're talking about before the show, first time you've ever been on the radio, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, we're excited to have you here.
Thank you.
LaNorris, I was just thinking, man, this time last year, actually, I think I went and saw you play at the Shrine Bowl practice. So December last year, you were getting ready for that state championship. I think probably would have been exactly a year ago from a few days ago. And you were trying to decide, am I going to stick with Syracuse or am I going to be a Gamecock? Now you sit here, obviously as a Gamecock man, but how much has changed for you in that last year, kind of going back to bouncing back and forth, having to make that decision, and now you sit here, obviously in a position to compete to be the starting quarterback this next season, man?
A lot less stressed. Just had a lot going on then. Had a big decision to make about my next 4 years. Now I'm just playing football, doing school, and trying to get through it.
What was that process like? Like how did you make the decision? Was it kind of, did you and your family kind of sit around the table, meet up, talk through it a few times? Did y'all have one big kind of meeting at the end around the time of the Shrine Bowl, or how did you handle that?
It was just kind of a mixture. Like, I talked to my dad, then I talked to my mom, then I talked to both of them together, then I talked to my family, asked my brothers what they thought.
Mm-hmm.
But really, I just did what was best for me. I thought of that point in time, and ultimately made my decision.
And what was it about South Carolina that ultimately put them over the top?
Really the coaches, and then they brought in, D-Lo, and I like D-Lo a lot. We talked pretty much the whole week of the Shrine Week, so I just trusted him and was like, this place I want to be.
So D-Lo was coming in, I remember about the same time you were kind of making that decision, and, I'm sure you were kind of meeting him for the first time, filling him out, getting an idea for what this offense was going to be all about. What kind of, as you go back to looking at it then and then the last year or so as you're going into next season, what has kind of been the message along the way about kind of how this offense could, accentuate your skill set or use your skill set a little bit?
So his offense is just basically based off of the quarterback skill set completely. So, like, he just builds around it, like put plays in place, and it's just like he can do whatever he wants just based off the quarterback skill set.
So let's go back. We were talking about around the time of Shrine Bowl, your high school career. I want to go back like earlier days in high school. You ended up being a highly ranked recruit. I know On3 Charles Power, who we talk about a lot, who does the rankings. He was probably the first guy to kind of move you up into the upper echelon. But it wasn't always the case, right? When you were, a sophomore, junior, you weren't one of the top, quote unquote, like as far as rankings quarterbacks coming out, and that eventually adjusted. But what was the early stages of the recruiting process like for you?
It was I just felt blessed, I just got offers. Like, we came off a good season. I didn't play my junior year, but my sophomore year was, I won't say it was better than my freshman year, but, we had our problems. But, I was just focused on playing ball, just getting better as a player and as a person. So,
junior year, you did play, 4 games, right? Yeah, 4 games. Because I remember I was actually at the game. My wife's an Irmo alum, so we were at the Irmo game. Nick Emanwari was on that team as a senior. And y'all came to Irmo and I think scored 63 points.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, and that was that junior year. But that was like the first or second game of the year, I think, right?
I think I was our third game maybe.
Okay.
Because I got hurt the 5th game.
Okay,
so.
Okay. Yeah, y'all looked pretty good that year, too. I'm going to go out on a limb and say y'all probably would have won state that year, too, if you hadn't gotten hurt. Do you ever remind Nick about that game?
I was about to say, surely
that
you
performance?
tell Nick about that.
Yeah, we played South Pointe played Irmo like 2 weeks ago.
I know.
Lower state,
I know. Got him again.
In his ear all week.
Well, y'all are 2-0 past couple times, right? So, yeah, that was a really good game the other day, by the way.
It was.
It's almost a shame that wasn't the state final, in my opinion.
Yeah, so LaNorris, when you kind of look back on that time and then committing, do you remember the moment that South Carolina actually offered you? Because I remember it was kind of it had been rumored they were kind of, I guess, recruiting you a little bit harder. But then when they actually offered, Was that kind of a big moment for you? I know you're kind of a low key guy. Did you let yourself get excited, or were you just kind of like, all right, that's cool?
I actually don't remember how I felt. I was just like, okay. It was after a game. It was like 9 or 10 in the morning. Beamer was like, hey, give me a call when you can. So I was just getting up. I answered the phone, and he told me. Then I just got up, told my dad. He was like, okay, good. Now you got a decision to make.
You seem so even keel. Like I think they just showed Joe Burrow up on these TVs a minute ago, and they say he gets like. He doesn't get too up or down. He's pretty even keel. Like, you seem that way all the time.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you get a little bit fired up on the field, but, like, I feel like a switch flips. But why are you so calm all the time?
Guess just how I was raised.
That's just how you are? I mean, I love it.
At what point in your high school career did you kind of realize you had the opportunity to play at the next level? You realized you were good enough to go to college and play at, an SEC type of school?
Maybe the first couple of games my junior year before I got hurt. I feel like had like my sophomore year is like I said, it was all right, but then like I just seen the growth I made between those 2 seasons, and then I was like, all right, have a chance. So
I want to talk about a couple of particular plays this past season. Probably know which ones I'm going at, but so the first long touchdown pass to Tyshawn, I know you talked about it in the press conference. So and you're just like, I figured I'd come back, throw the touchdown. And Coach Loggins, he tells us, like, all right, I was happy that LaNorris had the playmaking ability to recognize that and make a play, but it wasn't quite exactly how it was designed. But he was okay with it because, it worked out. So can you walk us through that play again, and maybe with even a little more detail, kind of just what you were seeing as it played out, and ultimately how you kind of saw Tyshawn and just let it rip?
So it was empty, so we had basically all verts called. Then we had like a delayed slant by the running back. And so usually you look at Nick in those situations. I mean, I don't know if I'm not supposed to say that or not, but he's a big, fast guy, so like, why not look at his way? So start off looking his way, but then I moved in the pocket a little bit to the right, and I didn't want to throw across the field or anything, so I just worked back to the guy that was inside of him. I didn't like that. Worked to the guy that was inside of the guy. Looked at after Nick. Didn't really like that. Then I seen Tyshawn running past the corner, seen the safety trail, and I was like, might as well put it up now.
So that was like a fourth.
That was the fourth, yeah.
Progression. Wow. So you're kind of rolling away, and you're just like flipping through these options as you go. Pretty impressive, man. So then the other one, the end of the Vandy game, keeper.
Yeah.
First of all, end zone. Was that a purposeful slide or a trip?
Honestly, don't know. I was too excited to tell you, honestly.
What were you thinking as you hit the end zone on that one?
I was just excited.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, it was cold and raining. I was still kind of tight. Wasn't as warm as I wanted to be, but ultimately still scored. So.
Yeah, so I'm noticing a trend here. Beamer he also said that one was probably leaned towards a straight give on that, but you just saw the DN crash and saw some green grass.
We had an RPO too, but
yeah,
it was both press over there, so that was like dead. So I just read the defensive end and pulled it in.
They couldn't catch you.
Nah.
That's Dowell has talked about having quarterbacks that can make the playbook come to life, I think is how he talked about it. So a guy like Spencer can obviously do that. You can do that. But do y'all talk, like, after those plays, for instance, what are the conversations like with the staff, without giving too much away, about, hey, it's okay to improvise a little bit here and there, or, hey, in these situations, we want you to stick with what's called. And you can use practice plays, for those same examples. But what are those conversations like as far as making the playbook come to life, improvising versus, hey, let's stick within the structure of the offense?
It ultimately just depends on the situation. Like, you got end-of-game situations, like going into halftime, going into the end of the game, and then there's plays where it's like playing above the X's and O's, what they talk about in the QB room, and then D-Lo says, well, I was a baller, I do this. But, you know what I'm saying, you could do that too, but it's just stuff like that, honestly.
And obviously, we know that Spencer had the ability to use his legs when he needed to, but that wasn't his main, MO, and your ability to maybe be a little bit more of a runner at quarterback. How much more does that open the offense up when you are on the field, and what's that potentially going to look like going forward?
I think that's just another thing that can worry the defenses, so they're not just completely focused on like the pass or just focused on the run back run. It just gives you another option to like have a quarterback as a threat, but so you can beat him with arms and legs.
Yeah, speaking of Spencer, man, we always said that it just seemed like he carried himself like a professional quarterback already. Just felt like kind of like an NFL guy. What did you kind of, playing behind Spencer, being in practice, being in those QB meeting rooms, what were the things you maybe took away from just watching how Spencer operated during this last year?
Like you said, he was always calm. He was a good guy, funny guy, made jokes, could lighten up the mood, but ultimately, like, it was like he knew it was straight business. Like, he knew it was his year. He had a lot to prove after last season, so he just came to work every day, and I just love to watch it every day.
Is that the main takeaway that you had from working with Spencer? Just like watching how a guy with his experience level and his command, could take control of things. Was that the main thing?
And he was always confident.
Yeah,
I feel like he was always confident. Like, no matter what, like
that's
who
true.
he played, like he was just very confident all the time. So it's a good thing to learn from.
For sure, man. How do you feel about being, kind of an even kill guy, laid back? It seems like a little bit. How do you feel about your leadership style? Like, are you a guy that will get into your teammates if you have to, or are you more lead by example? Is that a part of your game that you have put much thought into moving forward as you maybe take on a bigger role within this program?
I just a mixture. Like, I lead by example. I'm not really like a very like yell, always vocal kind of guy. So like, if I need to talk to you, like, I'll say what I need to say, but it won't be like anything like obnoxious or crazy or anything. But mostly probably lead by example.
Mm-hmm. I got you.
And being the fact that, you've had a full year on this team already, learning under Spencer and everything like that, what is it like with potentially him obviously moving on to the NFL now, and now you're kind of being looked at as that leader, being the quarterback, obviously the most important, position on the field. What's that like, kind of trying to earn everybody's trust in that new role now?
So this year, I basically tried to like build relationships with as many people as I could. Just try to get to know everybody, talk to everybody, just so like they feel like they can talk to you and stuff, and you're not just like a cut off from everybody guy. Because like you said, I'm even and chill, so I'm not gonna like go out of my way to do anything. But like just building relationships, trying to talk to everybody as much as I can, make jokes, just lighten it up, like I said, with everybody.
Important to have those relationships with your offensive line. Like I know,
Most importantly.
Yeah, most important.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta protect you, man. But you came in. I think you start to look at the future of this offensive line. Some of the guys that came in your class, many of them already playing this past year. Tree, Marquis, I think would have played if he hadn't got hurt. He'll be back next year, obviously. You got to kind of be looking at that group. Some of the guys coming in next year too. If you look at the recruiting classes, you kind of look at that group and be like, all right, like I'm going to be pretty well taken care of, in the future.
Yeah, like nothing builds. I forgot the saying, but experience is good. So Tree, Tro, Marquis, if he wouldn't have got hurt, like you said, like he had a good spring and whatever. So those guys would be good, and you got other guys, class 24 guys, which is the biggest humans I've probably ever seen. But I feel pretty good about them coming forward.
Yeah, have you ever seen anyone bigger than Cam Pringle?
I've not seen anybody bigger than Pringle. I've not.
We'll have more with LaNorris Sellers as the Garnet Trust Hour rolls on here on your Tuesday on the game on the 107.5 The Game app.
Dunn moves to the right of Sellers. Tyson Russell comes in motion. And Sellers going to take it himself. Look at the young man explode. And there it goes. There's the speed. And into the end zone. Touchdown, Carolina. Touchdown, LaNorris Sellers. From 36 yards out, he found another gear. And all he's done is intrigue this crowd and the Gamecock Nation further. He made Vandy look foolish with that burst. I know it's been a long day for the Commodore.
Welcome back into the Garnet Trust Hour here on the game. Tyler West and Chris along with you. Hanging out with LaNorris Sellers. That was the call on the Gamecocks Radio Network a couple weeks ago against Vanderbilt, that 36-yard touchdown run. Have you heard any of Todd and Tommy's calls or anything like that before? They get pretty hyped up.
Yeah, I've heard some of them, a couple of them this season.
He talked about you hitting that extra gear there. We always like to talk about the fastest guys on the team. Where do you think you stack up as far as the other guys on the roster?
I'll say about top 15, 20, somewhere around there.
Okay. Now, have you raced any of those guys like one-on-one yet?
Not one-on-one. I wouldn't say I've raced anybody one-on-one. Xavier Leggett tell you that I raced him, but I wouldn't count it as a race.
Did Zay win?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He did, yeah.
I mean, he's pretty hard to beat, I think.
Real quick, do you do a Zay impression? Everybody else seems to do one.
Nah.
Yeah, you do. I can tell. I can tell you got one.
He's like,
we
we're
won't
not
make you break
we're
it
not
out.
going to debut that on the radio today. Is what I think that answer meant. Have you gotten into this debate though about the fastest guy on the team? Because I see different guys claiming the number one spot, and then LaNorris, you got this thing about, all right, well, Nick's gonna win. Nick Harbor's gonna win if it's like 100 or 200, but who would win in the 40? You know, and so I think Nick E has claimed that. I think AB has claimed that. Leggett has been like, nah, like.
It's definitely between those four. I don't know. Nick, yeah, definitely he has 100, but 40 yards is because AB got the quickness. Zay's just like, Zay. But
Yeah.
Nick is also up there too. So
Yeah.
it's really hard to tell you. They have to race and see. I know they're supposed to this season sometime, but they never end up doing it. But
We need to line this thing up. We've
Yeah.
been saying we need it for like a Garnet Trust event. Just
We're gonna have
Line
our
it
own
up.
little like Olympics.
line it up and
basically.
see. Who can throw the ball the farthest on the team?
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know.
You know,
Spence can throw it. I can throw it, but Omega Blake can throw it too. I've seen him throw it 75 yards.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Omega.
High school quarterback?
Yeah.
He was?
South Point.
They never ran a fake with him, did they?
No, we
They
did
had
that.
the one in the bowl game a couple years ago where it looked like they might have been setting up a throw, but
Oh yeah,
it
against
was like
UNC.
a minus
Yeah.
14 or so.
Yeah.
He
Got hit.
Got tackled. Yeah. All right. So, okay, you talked about the farthest throw. Might not have an answer on that. What about velocity?
Mm,
Who's got the fastball?
don't know that either. honestly.
Don't know that either. Okay.
Feel like you're holding out on us a little
Yeah, a
bit,
little
LaNorris,
bit,
but
little bit.
that's
That's
okay
okay,
though.
that's okay.
That's okay.
Can't-
All right.
Can't
That's
give
fine.
Can't give away the whole scouting report,
Yeah.
I guess.
So, LaNorris, we were talking off air, man. Soccer was a sport you also played.
Yes, sir.
How much do you think that maybe helped you just with your footwork and development of certain other aspects? I know we always see that multi-sport athletes, I feel like, can make that transition to the next level just a little bit more smooth. So what did soccer kind of bring to your skill set, you think, man?
I think it really helps with like you said earlier, footwork, acceleration, and stuff like that, coordination, balance. It's really the biggest things that you need. And as a quarterback, you need to have good feet, like in the pocket and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to be balanced and coordinated. You don't want to be back there falling and tripping all over the place. So started that when I was like 5 or 6. Started playing that before I started playing football, actually, because it was either my dad was like, well, if you'll be playing football, you need to do soccer or ballet, and I wasn't doing ballet. So I chose soccer, and I just stuck with it, stopped playing, and when I was like between 10 and 12, and I started back when I was in the 7th grade.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Were you just as good at soccer as you were at football?
I mean, the skill gap between soccer and football is like can go on for days, but I did lead the region in goals my junior year. my last
Okay.
year playing.
So, if put in a pinch, could you kick a field goal?
I kicked field goals last year for South Florence, actually.
What's your longest?
It was just like an extra point. I kicker got hurt one game, and I was just out there. I hated it, but I just had something I had to do.
Why'd you hate it?
I just felt like it was too much like pressure. Like it's harder than it looks. You say them that,
Too much
More
pressure.
pressure
Yeah,
on a
yeah.
kicker than a
Than playing
quarterback?
quarterback.
like
I
you
love
just, I don't think I practiced extra points. Like we just,
Yeah.
Coach Mom was like, "No, we're just gonna go for 2. We're just gonna go for 2." And then the first time we scored, he was like, "All right, about to kick the extra point." I was like, "Why? Like we were practicing going for 2 all week." And then he was like, "Nah, just go out there and kick it." I think I missed like the first one, and then I made a couple more, and then I missed another, and I was like, "Oh, we going for 2 the rest of the day."
You made the decision.
just-
I was like, I'm not kicking it.
You took yourself out as kicker.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like y'all probably would have gotten the 2-point conversion anyway. I watched y'all play AC Flora right down the road here, and man, it seems like they just kind of stacked up a couple of blockers every 3rd or 4th down, especially. It was like the whole building knew LaNorris was running the ball.
Yeah.
There was no There's no stop. What is that like, man, just to be kind of like in that zone in a game and just know – and I know you got to have some good blocking up front too, teammates, whole team effort. But it just felt like you were going to take over that game.
Really just they just looked forward to me making a play. Like, it was a close game. Like you said, it was a close game until, like, the third or fourth quarter. I think they missed a field goal or something maybe, and then we just kind of ran away with it. And Marlo just, like that whole playoff run, Marlo's like, all right, the team's counting on you, like, to make plays and come through. Just keep being yourself. Don't try to do too much. And ultimately, that was just, like, what I did.
What are your thoughts as a quarterback on the tush push play? You like it that the Eagles run?
I do like it.
You do like it?
I do.
Okay. You want it in the play? Well, maybe it's in the playbook. I
You
won't make. I
can't
won't
say
make you
that,
answer.
Chris.
Yeah,
It's
can't say
in
that.
there.
Yeah,
It's in there.
probably in there.
Yeah.
We'll assume it is.
I was going to say, sounds like the NFL is going to be outlawing it at the end of this
I've
season.
seen that on Twitter a couple of days ago. Roger Goodell wants to ban it or something.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts probably would have scored anyway, so I mean, he might not need it. He's also a big guy, from what Spencer says.
Do you watch much NFL?
I don't really like the NFL, honestly.
You watch
like-
much?
I like-
Sorry, go ahead.
I like college better, but
Yeah.
I think I've watched the least amount of college football other than film this year than I ever have in my entire
I
life.
was going to say, you're a little bit busy on Saturdays now.
Yeah, well, and I imagine, I mean, you're kind of living and breathing college football. So maybe when you got a free moment,
Put on some highlights, maybe.
Yeah.
but other than
Yeah.
that, I don't think I've watched a full college game. Actually, I watched the Oregon and Washington game last week, but that was it.
that was a good game,
That
man.
was a good game.
What do you think of those QBs?
I like him a lot.
Yeah.
Bo Nix, grew up watching him, and Michael Penix just not really came on the scene this year, but he's balling this year
I
too.
said Penix has been around for him and Nix have been around for 10 years, it seems like.
Yeah, it's been a while, but
So it's kind of interesting. Speaking of Jalen Hurts, I was looking at your old On3 recruiting profile, and they started doing this thing on there where they put reminds us of, and a lot of times it's just an NFL guy. And I guess the point is just to give maybe a casual fan an idea of, hey, what does this player's skill set or playing style really more look like? So they had Jalen Hurts paired up with you. I actually think you're a little bit bigger than Jalen, but maybe from what Spencer said, maybe Jalen's bigger than I think. But what do you think of that comparison?
I mean, I like it. He's a good quarterback. Played at Bama, Oklahoma. Went to the Eagles, led them to the Super Bowl. I like him. From what Spencer talks about him a lot, just like how the leader he was, and he was just like Jalen Hurts was just straight business, calm, didn't really show a lot of emotion and stuff like that. So
Yeah, so you're about 2 inches taller than Jalen Hurts. He's listed at 6'1". It's a little bit shorter, but very similar type of play styles. We'll have more with LaNorris Sellers as the Garnet Trust Hour rolls along here on this Tuesday on The Game and the 107.5 The Game app. Welcome back in. It is the Garnet Trust Hour. Tyler West and Chris hanging out with LaNorris Sellers here, going until the top of the hour, talking about a lot of things going on with the Gamecock football program. And obviously, LaNorris this week, the big news around college football is everything going on with the transfer portal. Obviously, you've had several teammates that have entered their name into that. From an internal standpoint, what's that like, seeing the dynamic of the team change so much with guys choosing to go elsewhere?
it's just crazy, really. But ultimately, people do what's best for themselves, and you can't judge somebody for doing what's best for themselves. So I mean, I don't have anything else to say about that.
Yeah, were you not about South Carolina anymore, but were you surprised just around the country to see? I know quarterbacks transfer when they're not playing, but I thought it was kind of crazy how many quarterbacks. The Ohio State quarterback, he's a starter. They were top 10 in the country, very nearly made the playoff. He's in the portal. Were you surprised to see just so many guys in the portal that are actually the starting quarterback for their teams?
Yeah, I was talking about it yesterday because, like you said, him, Cal McCord, and Dylan Gabriel from Oklahoma. And I was personally I probably wouldn't do it because I would say once you get established somewhere, why would you want to go somewhere and start over earning trust from your teammates, building relationships, relationships outside of football. So, I mean, like, I don't know.
Yeah. Kind of caught me off guard,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Well, there was a lot of rumors going in that, like, hey, there's going to be some big names hit the portal, right? And I was like, okay, I get it. But I was surprised about the number of not just big name, like you said, Wes, but like established guys. Like you said, LaNorris, like these aren't guys that are like, hey, this is a 5-star quarterback, but like he hadn't really broken through. Like you got guys who were the guy at a school and they're starting over, which is kind of interesting.
Started like every game this year in some cases.
And played well for really good teams.
Yeah, played very well. So, LaNorris, we always like to give the fans a little bit of a glimpse kind of behind the curtain of just what y'all are up to during this time period. So, obviously, regular season is over. Coaching staff is doing a lot of recruiting type stuff right now. So, you were telling me a little bit off air about your schedule. Just in general, what are you guys up to right now as far as just working out and stuff like that?
So right now we're just lifting Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We get Tuesdays and Thursdays off. This week, next week, and then I think that's when exams end next week. So then we'll be able to go home and we'll be back in here January 8th, I think, a week before all the kids come back, and we'll lift all that week. And then we just get into like winter lifts, and then back into spring ball, spring lifts, and all things start over.
Yeah, all starts again. What was the winter workout program like for you? Because you early enrolled, right? Yeah. So you come in, you're making that jump, obviously from high school to college. And I've always heard winter workouts are just kind of like the slap in the face for a lot of guys. I don't know if that was the way for you, but what was that like, just getting in there and being like, man, this is maybe on another level?
Yeah, that was another crazy thing. It was hard. Like in high school, we had a good weightlifting program, but it didn't compare to what we did here. I mean, it helped me out a lot compared to like other guys who probably didn't lift as much or didn't have like a weightlifting program. But I won't say it wasn't easy, but it wasn't as challenging as it was for other guys either.
This offseason, from a strength and conditioning standpoint, what would you say your goals are that you've pinpointed of, hey, I want to get stronger in this area, or I want to be better in this particular area? Not on field, we'll go to that next, but just pure weight room conditioning.
I really just want to like stay in shape year round and have like a college type body. Like had a high school body, wanted to like gain muscle and lose body fat. So that was pretty much the biggest thing for me. Just like get bigger, faster, stronger, obviously to get you to the college speed. But other than that, like that was just my main goals.
And you've already kind of reshaped it in the right word, but just from high school through year one, I mean, you've already done some of that, right?
Yeah,
like you're already on your way to doing that.
Yes, sir.
What about on the field? So once y'all start, getting into the playbook again, I know you can do that kind of year round, but thinking about spring ball, which is 3 or 4 months away already, what are you thinking about as far as your next steps on the field with what you've got to improve and get better at?
Probably just bringing in the younger guys along with me. Like, we had some younger guys play, so really just building that chemistry with them, then building the chemistry with everybody else on the team, wide receivers, running back wise. That's probably the biggest thing. And like you said, building those relationships still and trying to be a better leader.
Speaking of spring ball, and I forget which coach, it may have been Steph that said this prior to the season, but he viewed guys that came into the spring as already having like a year under their belt by going through all those practices and stuff like that. Being that you got to be involved in this past spring, how far ahead did that put you when the season rolls around compared to the guys that maybe came in at the early beginning of summer?
A lot, really. I think enrolling early is probably the best thing you can do, and just seeing, like, once they got in and we started practicing and all that stuff, like, you can just see, like, you can tell just, like, by the way you play and stuff who's been here and who just got here, I think it helped a lot, and I think anybody who's going through the recruiting process should probably early enroll.
I know Dal Loggins talked a ton last offseason about how with he and Spencer, it was kind of like a partnership in terms of building this offense and kind of just taking the big picture of all the different plays and starting to narrow it down or even maybe add some things at times into what the offense was going to be for that particular season. Have you felt yourself get a little bit more comfortable maybe being, now being like, hey, Coach, I like this, or I like this look, I like that play? Is that something you kind of foresee yourself doing more of now that Spencer has graduated and going on to the NFL?
Yeah, I think so. I think you shouldn't just have like a coach-player relationship where you can't talk to him, you can't be honest with him. And D'Lo does a good job with that. He was in the NFL for a while, and up there it's just like a partnership. Like players would be like, "Nah, I don't like this play," and it's just like, all right, can it? And then, like, but with him, like, you can just talk to him and be like, all right, I don't like this play. And he'd be like, well, let's try to do it this way, do it that way, and just see. And if you don't like it, he'll can it. And then if you like it, like, he just find ways to expand on that one play for you.
What about his skill set excites you, or what about your skill set excites him the most?
Probably the ability to run, maybe. Because, like I said, like, it just gives you another element to the offense, honestly. So, I mean, and, you know, he was at Arkansas with KJ. So, I mean, like, NFL with some of those athletic guys. So, I mean, like, it just excites him, I guess.
Well, I think the thing about your skill set too, man, not to like blow your head up, but you obviously can run, but you have the passing ability too. Like I think we see quarterbacks, and there's that added running element, but then they don't have the ability to throw the football too. So defenses just kind of key in on the running game. Have you kind of always been just a natural passer, like since you picked up a football? Or I know you worked with Ramon Robinson a pretty good bit growing up. Chris and I know Ramon pretty well. He's coached up a bunch of guys as far as being a QB trainer. So I know it's a lot of hard work, but just kind of just the ability to spin the football, is that something that came naturally or that you've just really had to hone over the years?
I think it just came naturally. Like, I started off playing, like, receiver, running back, just like quarterback in like wildcat situations, but I was always able to throw, I think. But it's just something that you just keep practicing. Like, you don't want to like lose it either, which I don't think you can. I mean, maybe you can, I don't know. But it's just something I've been working on like consistently throughout the years as well. But
Are there any quarterbacks that you model your game after? I know you said that you don't get to watch as much college as you used to, or NFL, because I mean you're busy, right? But any guys from your past that you really try to take things from and learn from and model yourself after?
I grew up watching Cam Newton, like during his Auburn days and his first Carolina days, and then, you know, he stopped playing for a while. So I don't know if you would like Cam Newton, like you said, Jalen Hurts earlier. Other than that, I don't think so.
There's a couple
Trying to think.
pretty good guys.
Cam Newton would have been at Auburn. He would have been like, what, 5-6 years old?
I was young, yeah.
That's
Very young.
crazy to think about.
You know, South Carolina in 2010, they had to play Cam twice. They had to play him at Auburn, lost that game. Then they made the SEC title game. Yeah. Congrats, you get to play Cam Newton again. And so they had to play him twice that year. That was tough.
They faced Super Cam the second time.
Yeah.
Like the first time, you're probably too young to remember, but first time they went toe-to-toe with Auburn. Yeah. And then by the time, because, you know, he had 1 year there, by the time they got to the end, it was when Cam had just taken his game.
Peak Cam.
Peak Cam.
Peak Cam Newton.
Who could not, I mean, was unbeatable, I feel like.
And probably the greatest single season of a quarterback in college football history. Definitely up there. We'll come back and wrap up today's edition of the Garnet Trust Hour with the LaNorris Sellers here on The Game and the 107.5 The Game app.
Quarterback LaNorris Sellers, you listen to the home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game. Hey, this is Gamecocks quarterback LaNorris Sellers. You're listening to the home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game. Other than that, like, it grew on people, and now if I walk around without my goggles, you're like, where are your goggles at? Where are your goggles at?
I was gonna say that's a marketing gold right there.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Well, I feel like probably growing up, man. Did you always wear them, I guess?
I started wearing them my junior year.
Oh, okay.
Because my freshman year, I didn't wear them. Like, I could see, but it was like, then I started wearing my glasses, and I had a strap. But then I went through like 2 pair of glasses that season.
Yeah.
So then my dad was like, "Are we finna get you some goggles, or you can get contacts?" Didn't like playing in my eyes, so I just got goggles.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I feel like it's one of like an opponent. They can say whatever they want, but then in high school, I mean, you throw 6 touchdowns on them. It's like
Not much they can say.
Yeah. What do you? If you're talking about my goggles, I'm talking about the scoreboards. So you know, I mean, I don't think you know, there's much they can say at that point. But speaking of high school, your brother, man, committed to the Gamecocks. Had a chance to meet him the day you committed, actually, and I think South Carolina had already offered. But how excited are you for Sellers reunion in the future. He's got another year of high school,
Yeah.
but pretty cool for your family, I'm sure.
Yeah, very excited. Just to play on that stage like we did in high school, one state or whatever. But I think college is a whole nother level, like national television, SEC. So it's like a blessing.
What's your scouting report on Jaden? Wes and I seen him in camp, so give us your take.
I'll say he has a little bit of speed, kind of twitchy.
Just a little.
I won't boost him up too much. But
Nah, I hear you.
A little bit of speed, twitchy, good hands, competitor. It's probably the biggest thing. Like he can get a little bit chippy.
Mhm.
Honestly, he's the complete opposite of me. Likes to talk, always talking.
Really?
Making jokes. So
You have a favorite moment with him on the field, particular play?
probably our first touchdown. His freshman year, I think he was like maybe 14 or 15, and we was playing. It was the Irmo game actually. He
Yeah.
scored the first touchdown.
Okay.
That was just a special moment, and then probably the state championship. I think he had like maybe 3 or 4 receptions for like 140 or so yards.
Some Randy
2
Moss
touchdowns.
numbers.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns. So
Yeah,
that was special.
Wes and I saw him in camp last summer,
Hmm.
and he plays bigger than his size too. That's another thing I saw. Like he can go up and get it.
Yeah.
He's got good ball skills.
Good catch radius, I feel like
Yeah.
he made I think a diving catch at the end of that
He did.
camp, where he just went out and got it. I'm sure y'all been throwing passes to each other in the backyard for
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. Oh wow. And just I don't know. He just has a lot of like drive and like I said, competitive to him. Like he tells me all the time. He's like, bro, like I'm the best player in the family. Like, and I'm like, bro, all right, bro. Like, okay, you can have it. Like,
Love it.
I love him. Like, just how far he's grown. Really, like he had a couple issues like with like school and stuff, but like we just talked to him and like he just fixed it like that.
Mhm.
And then so I mean like he just came a long way.
Speaking of your family, are they listening in to?
I have no idea. I don't even think they know that.
You didn't tell them?
Well,
I didn't.
here's the
Oh,
good here's the
man,
good thing.
LaNorris.
We upload this on
Yep.
our website, so they can go
Uh-huh.
back and listen to it later.
Yes, sir. Yes. Sir.
Yeah, man, I'm hurt.
Got a couple minutes to go here. We asked this question to every player that we get in here. Asked it to X a couple weeks ago when he was on with us. You're crafting a starting 5 for basketball based on only guys on the team. What's your team looking like?
Maybe. So. Oh my phone.
You're good.
Craig Adams. I know he played in Georgia. He talks like he's good. So
Oh, CJ. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just. He talks like he's good, so I'm gonna just trust him on that. Tavy. Tavy Shivers. Let's see who else.
I think that's a new one.
That's a new one.
Haven't heard that one yet.
CJ was on, I think, Xavier's team. He might have had CJ Adams on his
Okay,
team.
yeah. I think he
Somebody
was.
did.
I
Yeah,
think he
somebody,
did.
Yeah.
Do you play, by the way?
I don't.
No,
I played
okay.
my sophomore year for fun, but I didn't. Really like
So
it.
you're
Okay.
coaching this team theoretically then.
Yeah, I'll just coach. Spence was a good basketball player.
Yes, there you go. Good pick.
Let's see. Who else?
Be your point guard right there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. Judge Collier.
Oh,
Collier
okay.
played basketball, yeah.
He can hoop.
He can, and he's like long too.
Mhm.
So like, let's see who else. And let's see. Really don't know who else plays basketball. That's actually halfway decent. Well, not
Halfway
but,
decent. You don't have a big man on there, really.
Who's got Shivers?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 you
That's
do.
a real big man.
That's a real big man.
He's
Yeah.
big too. I'm trying to think.
I feel like you got that's a good start though. You can get back to us on the 5th one if you want to.
Wonder if there's any soccer. Maybe LaNorris could build out a soccer team better for us. I don't know if there's any soccer guys on the team.
Rashawn Lee played soccer.
Rashawn was. That's not
Really?
surprising.
He did.
Okay.
Rashawn played soccer.
Pretty cool.
We could build out a team with you and Vershawn. That'll be our 2-man soccer team.
So away from football, I mean, what are you doing? What do you like to do to just relax, hang out, have a good time?
I'm a big movie guy. I like watching movies. Just like movies, YouTube, like TikTok. Like, but that's
Ooh.
everybody does that.
Can all
but,
burn a couple hours a day on that.
Yeah. Other than that, probably just like hanging out with players from the team and stuff. That's pretty much the biggest thing.
Favorite movie of all time?
Fight Club, Interstellar.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Like,
Interstellar. Man, that's a good one.
I think I watched that like twice.
Anything by Christopher Nolan, pretty good. What's the last movie that you watched and liked? Anything stand out recently?
Recently? Nah, I haven't watched. I don't think I've watched a movie this week. I know the season ended. Always had to get up early, so I didn't watch movies then, but like on the weekends and stuff. But right now, off the top of my head, I don't have anything.
Play video games at all, or that's not your
Yeah, I play
style?
like Call of Duty, Madden, games like that. I've been on Call of Duty a lot.
You excited for GTA 6?
I am. I had GTA 5, but I haven't played in a while just because it just got old. So
I was gonna say the game's 10 years old.
Yeah. So, but I don't think that one's released till like 2025.
Yeah, 2025. We gotta wait a little bit longer.
I'm excited for the NCAA game though.
Oh,
So
Yes.
you can get in on our little tournament we're gonna have.
yeah.
We're all excited for it.
Hey, that was an interesting question we have for guys. So you got a chance to be in the game at some point. Have they asked y'all yet to sign the
haven't.
paperwork? At some point, that's going to come up. What did you think of the rumor, like $500 per player to be in the game? And it's kind of like everybody makes the same amount.
Yeah.
So obviously that number couldn't be like thousands and thousands of dollars because it's going to be spread among all the players that are. So to be in a video game, are you like, hey, that's pretty cool, I'll sign right now? Or are you like, man, that's a little bit low?
No, I'll sign it.
Yeah.
Sign it. Just $500 to be in a game. I think everybody grows up wanting to be in a game. So
Absolutely. Well, we're excited to see you in it. And thanks for hanging out with us today in LaNorris. Obviously, we know you're a busy guy, but excited to see what you're going to do on the field next season.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. That'll do it for today's edition of the Garnet Trust Hour with LaNorris Sellers. Coming up next, it's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs here on the Game and the 107.5 The Game app.